ball clubs, and I do believe that it is a hockey town, although they have drawn way over 2 million people here in this ballpark, the Big O. We'll talk a little more about baseball and do a few more things here while we wait for this rain to stop. The rain's still coming down here at the Big O, and we'll be back with more right after this message.
Now there's a vehicle.
60th game for the Mets of the 162 that are scheduled. And pitching for Montreal will be Jay Tibbs, a former Met. He has a record of 4-2, an earned run average of 3.39. He has worked 79 2/3 innings, given up 68 hits, 5 of them home runs, and he has walked 33 while striking out 49. Jay Tibbs with a lifetime record of 1-2 against his former team.
And Tibbs will face this lineup right here. Mookie Wilson will lead it off in center field for the Mets. He'll be followed by second baseman Wally Backman. Then we'll jump to Keith Hernandez, who will be at first base, and he'll bat third. Batting cleanup, Darryl Strawberry, the right fielder. Gary Carter will do the catching and bat number 5. George Foster, batting 6th, will be in left field. Batting 7th at third base, Ray Knight. Rafael Santana, the shortstop, will bat 8th, and batting 9th, Ron Darling, the pitcher.
And the defense for Montreal. Galarraga will be at first base, Law at second, Brooks at short, Wallach at third, Raines, Winningham, and Webster in the outfield, left to right, and the catcher is Bilodello. And Bilodello, of course, coming over with Jay Tibbs to Montreal from the Cincinnati Reds. Jay Tibbs and Dwight Gooden pitched on the same team in the minor leagues. That was at Lynchburg. And John Cumberland, who was the pitching coach for the New York Mets, made this statement. He said that Gooden and Tibbs should become pretty good pitchers.
That was an understatement, especially for Gooden. Tibbs, of course, right now with a record of 20-20 in the major leagues, right at 500.
He was with 5 different teams in 3 seasons. When the Mets let him go, he moved around quite a bit and then hooked on with Cincinnati. Had a good year with Cincinnati, had a record of 10-16. And now Mookie Wilson to lead it off, and we finally get underway about an hour and a half after the scheduled time. And Tibbs with a fastball, it's strike 1. Mookie hitting .296. He has 4 home runs, 10 runs batted in. He has had 3 of his 4 home runs for the left-hand side of the plate. And it's strike 2.
A delay like this, an hour and a half, can at times take the edge off of a ball club, no matter how important the game is.
No, it's tough to get going after you sit around a while. At least it was for me. And now Tibbs back to Mookie, and right in there. 3 pitches, and Mookie goes back to the bench where he was for an hour and a half before the game started.
Here's a good pitch right here. Mookie couldn't have ordered a better pitch to swing at. He's disappointed.
So 1 away as Tibbs picks up his first strikeout. That's number 50 for him on the year. And it brings up Wally Backman. Wally hitting .321 with no home runs and 9 RBIs.
We got word up here a couple times early in the rain delay that the game was going to be called. So rest assured that the players in the clubhouse heard the same rumor. So you're up emotionally, you go down emotionally, you come back up again emotionally.
Backman sees a curveball on his first pitch. It's ball 1. Wally brings a 5-game hitting streak into this game. 7 hits in the 5 games, hitting .350. Last year he batted just .170 against Montreal pitching. And the fastball, 2 balls, no strikes.
How about Wallach? Way in.
Wallach no more than about 70 feet away from Backman to guard against the possibility of the bunt. Also, the second baseman and first baseman have shortened up. 2-0 the count, and it's hit by Wallach. He knocks it down, gets up, makes the play. What a play by Wallach on that short defense that he had. He had to react. Almost an impossible play.
I think it was great that Wally Backman could place the ball down there. And as you mentioned, Ralph, great reaction by Tim Wallach. Backman wanted to hit the ball down there. He did, and Wallach made an outstanding play.
So 2 men away as Wallach turns it into an out. He is a fine defensive ball player, and he's having a good offensive year. That brings up Keith Hernandez. Keith hitting at .318 for the year with 4 home runs, 29 RBIs. Last year, Keith batted .299 against Montreal pitching. Did not have a home run, but he did drive in 10. Montreal and the Mets meet 18 times in the season. 9 here at the Big O and 9 at Shea Stadium. So this game and 17 more this season. And Tibbs with a fastball, and they count 2 balls, no strikes. Tibbs last year 10-16 with Cincinnati. This year he has pitched 2 complete games and has a record of 4-2. 2 of his victories have been shutouts. 2-0 pitch for ball 3, and it's 3-0.
Got to look at Tibbs when he's winding up. He has the finger out of the glove. A lot of pitchers with the finger out of the glove. I think the reason they do that is to take away the sting when the ball is thrown back or hit back at them.
I know some catchers that don't bother you with that hard throw back. Not mentioning any present name. That's ball 4, and Hernandez, who leads the National League in on-base average, adds to his .412 with a walk. And it brings up Darryl Strawberry. Darryl has hit .462 in his last 12 ball games with 18 hits. That has raised his average to .286. He has 7 home runs and 32 RBIs, and he leads in game-winning RBIs. He has a total of 9. He's tied with Jeff Leonard. And the fastball, a strike.
He looks more comfortable at the plate now. He's been in the groove. He's gliding into the ball, not pulling off the ball, and he's even hitting left-handers a lot better.
Hit well against Montreal last year, hitting .355 with 2 home runs and 6 RBIs. Hernandez a short lead at first base, and Strawberry gets another fastball, and it's strike 2.
Talked about home runs in his ballpark. The most difficult ballpark to hit a home run in last year was the St. Louis ballpark, and here in Montreal was number 2. The Mets hit 8 home runs in this ballpark. Carter hit 2 of them.
That stat might be reversed this year, as Montreal has a big lead in hitting home runs this year. They've hit a total of 70. The Mets have hit a total of 56. And there's a ball, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Darryl Strawberry. Still plays with that bruised hand taped up, so it's about even. Hubie Brooks has the same problem. And the curveball strikes him out. So Jay Tibbs with 2 strikeouts, the walk, 1 left, and the score at the end of 1/2 inning. The Mets nothing. The Montreal Expos coming up.
Block shot, and we get a fast break and a dunk. That's exciting for me. I really enjoy that kind of stuff.
Ron Darling walking in to take his warm-up pitches. Ron, the starting pitcher for the New York Mets. Ron with a lifetime record of 36-20. This year he's won 7 of 9 decisions. His first appearance, obviously, against Montreal. He has an earned run average of 3.93. He has worked 75 2/3 innings. He has given up 66 hits, 9 of them home runs, walking 31 and striking out 53. He has a lifetime record against Montreal of 3 wins and 3 losses.
And he'll face this lineup. Herm Winningham will lead it off. He'll be followed by Mitch Webster, then Tim Raines, who will be followed by ex-Met Hubie Brooks, Tim Wallach, Andres Galarraga. Vance Law will bat 7th. 8th, Dan Bellardello, and Jake Tibbs, the bottom of the order.
And the defense for the Mets, Keith Hernandez at first base, Wally Backman playing second base, Rafael Santana the shortstop, Ray Knight playing third base, George Foster in left field, Mookie Wilson in center field, and in right field, Darryl Strawberry. Catcher Gary Carter, and Darling, of course, the pitcher. This is Herm Winningham, who will be leading off for Montreal. Herm, a former Met, batting at .234. He has 4 home runs, 10 runs batted in. And and he has had 6 stolen bases in 10 attempts.
Ralph, how important is an average with runners in scoring position?
Extremely important.
All right, in scoring position with Winningham batting, he's batting 185.
Another stat that doesn't really qualify him for leadoff batters is on-base average. His on-base average only 311.
It's unbelievable for a leadoff hitter.
Should be somewhere around 380 to 400.
It's interesting. By hook or by crook, the first man in the order has to get on base.
Winningham hit just .216 against the Mets last year with no home runs and 2 RBIs. So Darling set to go, and his first pitch. Fastball for ball 1. Darling last year 16-6 for the Mets and 2-1 against Montreal. Lost his last decision to Montreal on the last day of the season. Mets were out of it at that time. The Cardinals had cinched the pennant. 2 balls, no strikes to Winningham. And this one hit hard to right. Going over Strawberry, can't get to it. He skids in, takes it on the hop, and Winningham holds at first. So Strawberry gets a shallow bath out there as he tries to make the catch.
I think Darrow broke back before he came in, so he misjudged the ball momentarily. Then when he came in, he was able to really make a fine stop. Here it is again, ball out over the plate. Winningham looping the ball in the right field. Darrow coming in, making a nice stop at that ball. Dangerous play because of the artificial surface. Here it is again, and Darrow scoops that ball. If it gets by him, Winningham can fly.
So a runner on with the first hit of the ball game. And the batter will be Mitch Webster. Webster hitting .254 with 4 home runs, 20 RBIs, and Winningham draws some attention at first.
Runners in scoring position. Webster batting .217.
Webster originally signed by the Dodgers. Another throw to first base. And he was drafted from L.A. by Toronto in a minor league draft in 1983. And the first pitch is ball 1, fastball.
Ralph, I wonder if these 2 ball clubs here in Canada are reluctant to trade with each other. Obviously, the Mets and the Yankees, it's a sensitive issue. They don't want to trade a guy to the Mets, or the Mets don't want to trade a guy to the Yankees that will go on to become a superstar.
Well, unfortunately for the Mets, the Yankees traded a lot of players to the Mets. Boy, good move to first. He's out. Winningham picked off on that great move by Ron Darling.
Quick feet, short. The ball is short armed by Darling. Watch him, quick feet. He gets that ball right up to the ear and over to first base, and Winningham is caught. Picture perfect move.
So the base runner erased as Winningham picked off first, and now Darling to the windup, and this pitch hit to left center field. Mookie off and running, and he makes a catch. Mookie Wilson running through that water-filled turf out there and coming up with a fine running catch on Mitch Webster.
Well, the ball really carried off the bat of Mitch Webster. Here's Mookie Wilson tracking the ball down. Fine play by the Mets center fielder.
So 2 well-hit balls in this ball game on the first 2 batters, but 2 men away, and that brings up Tim Raines. Raines having an outstanding season, batting at .321 with 6 home runs, 23 RBIs, and listen to this stat, 28 stolen bases out of 30 attempts.
And he, in scoring position, he's hitting the ball very well. .310 with runners in scoring position.
And the fastball for ball 1. He bats in the 3rd spot against right-hand pitching. And then when left-handers are pitching, he goes to the leadoff spot.
So you wonder if his average is up with runners in scoring position because he doesn't get up there with that many guys not in scoring position compared to a guy like Hubie Brooks.
There was a split-finger fastball, a change of pace by Darling, ball 2. It's hard to know.
Yeah.
Raines with a great on-base percentage. He's at .409. He's had 34 walks, so he has a fine eye at the plate, and he's on his way to getting his 35th here as Darling falls behind 3 balls, no strikes.
And a guy that hits in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th slot will drive in more runs if he's making contact, because usually your table setters today can really scoot. So you get a base hit with a guy in second, he's going to score.
And there's ball 4. Darling walks a very fast runner on 4 pitches. So Raines keeps pace with Hernandez Keith had walked his first time up. Keith leading the league in on-base percentage at .412. Raines second at .409. And with a runner at first base, certainly a threat to steal, the batter will be Hubie Brooks. And Hubie having a sensational year, hitting at .337. 13 home runs, 43 RBIs.
And he's batting .263 with runners in scoring position.
Hubie 1 point behind Tony Gwynn, who leads the league at .338. Raines draws a throw.
It's got to be a pleasure to hit behind a guy like Raines, who can steal base. Not only steal a base, but he doesn't get caught that often, especially by catchers.
And there goes Raines. Tough pitch to throw by Carter, and Raines spins around and goes off the back and is balled out. So Raines does not get the stolen base. He did not have possession, and he's called out by second base umpire Paul Runge.
And he wants to steal the base against Gary Carter more than anything. Carter wasn't able to catch that ball. Ball slipped out of his hand. Raines hits the base, slips off the base, and he's out. So Gary Carter throwing out Tim Raines. Another angle. Nobody does it better than that guy right there. Great head first slide and spins right off the base. It's an interesting tag.
So that ends the inning. No runs, one hit, one batter picked off first, another thrown out stealing after walks it over left on base. The score at the end of one. The Mets nothing and the Montreal Expos nothing.
Baseball with 86 Mets curtain call. Right here, only on SportsChannel.
And the first pitch to Gary Carter is taken for ball one. Carter met with mixed emotions here by the fans in the stands. Carter, a great star here for Montreal, traded away and now back again. Hitting at .246 with 11 home runs, 42 RBI. And Jay Tibbs misses with a slider, 2 balls, no strikes.
Gary took his stay here in Montreal very serious. He went to school to learn how to speak French.
Rusty Staub the same. They were the two big heroes here for the Expos, especially Rusty in the early days when the Montreal Expos struggled. A 2-0 pitch, and the fastball is ball free. Carter last season batted .254 against the Expos. He did have 3 home runs and drove in 9. And Jay Tibbs at 3 balls and no strikes. And he walks him on 4 pitches. Second walk on 4 pitches by Tibbs. And it puts the leadoff batter on. That'll bring up George Foster. Foster hitting .270 for the year with 10 home runs, 29 RBIs. George has had 6 home runs and 17 runs batted in his last 18 ball games. Last year he hit .268 against Montreal with 11 hits, 2 of them home runs, and he drove in 8. And the first pitch inside a ball. 5 in a row out of the strike zone, so Tibbs wants another ball. George Foster. George has hit 10 home runs out of his last 23 hits, dating back to May the 6th. And the slider is hit it high in the air to shallow center field, actually right center field, and going back is Vance Law to make the catch. Carter back to first base, and with 1 man out, the batter will be Ray Knight. Tibbs played on the same high school team, Huffman High School, as Brett Burns of the Chicago White Sox.
And Brett Burns right now on the disabled list with the Yanks' career in jeopardy. How about Rich Dotson with the Chicago White Sox? He had an operation last year, Ralph, for overdeveloped muscles in the chest area. Something I never even heard of.
Well, that could be from lifting weights.
Possibly.
Got to be very careful which muscles you do develop. And the first pitch to Ray Knight, taken for a called strike. Ray has hit in 35 of 41 ball games this year. Overall, he is batting .325 for the season, and that's 4th in the National League.
Talking about developing those muscles as Tibbs checks Carter at first base. When I was a kid, I was told that in order to play baseball, you should not lift weights or do any exercises like that. And now the philosophy has changed.
Supervised weightlifting, certainly a large part of development for ball players today.
Would you do it?
I did it. I lifted weights
Is
in
that
the
right?
winter of 1946. Went from 23 home runs to 51.
Wow.
There's a fastball line down the right field side for a foul ball.
So that
That didn't have anything to do with it. I learned how to hit pitches.
because there's a lot of bodybuilders that can't hit.
I didn't hit him any farther, but I did it because I wanted to be in better shape. I'd just gotten out of the service.
Did you feel a difference in your strength?
Felt stronger, certainly.
I just heard that Wally Joyner with the California Angels say he's hitting the ball the same as he hit it last year. He lifted weights this past winter, and the ball's going further. You don't believe that?
I think it could help, no doubt about it.
Maybe I should have done that.
And this ball hit on the ground, a routine double play. Ray Knight grounds into the double play, and that ends the inning. The score at the end of 1.5 innings, the Mets nothing and the Montreal Expos nothing.
Easy is finding great college basketball on Sports Channel.
Who's next?
His name is Kill.
Ralph, we were talking about lifting weights, and a lot of the modern-day players are doing it after that year you lifted the weights and you jumped up in your production with home runs. Did you continue on lifting weights?
No, I really didn't, Fran. I gave it up. I did continue to do certain things. I did a lot of push-ups on fingertips.
Did you?
And things to keep my hands strong. That was something Ted Williams always did.
Fingertip push-ups.
And stayed basically with just regular exercise.
I read where Bob Feller did a lot of that also.
Feller used to carry weights in a suitcase. The bellhops wouldn't even touch him. He carried dumbbells right in the suitcase. Plus all the newspapers he could find that he could read.
Is that right?
Oh, he used to go on the road. It was like an entourage going on the road. Now here's Hubie Brooks left at the plate, but Rain slid by the bag at second. And so he gets a new chance, and there's strike one. Hubie hit .290 against the Mets last year with 1 home run, 8 runs batted in. And this year having his best year ever. And there's that split finger fastball out of the strike zone, 1 ball, 1 strike. Hubie hitting .337, second in the National League, 13 home runs, 43 RBIs. And the fastball, 2 balls, 1 strike.
So, Ralph, it's safe to say that you don't lift weights anymore.
That's very safe to say.
Well, there's only one guy at his traveling crew that lifts weights, as you can tell.
Yeah, our friend downstairs.
Yeah, you can tell by that body on him.
Mr. Bill Webb.
Taking that head-to-head combat.
He has to with his personality. 3 balls, 1 strike. And it's ball 4, so Darling walks his second man. And it's a leadoff walk, so they have had their leadoff batter on in the first 2 innings of this ball game. In the first inning, Winningham was picked off first after a single, and Raines walked on 4 pitches, was thrown out as he went by the bag, bagged out at second. Now a walk to Hubie Brooks. No one out, and Tim Wallach the batter. Wallach having a fine start, .273 and 10 home runs and 36 RBIs.
And we're watching a right-hander with the best move in the National League.
And it's strike 1.
First inning, if Ron Darling didn't have that great move, Tibbs would not have been picked off. Of course, Raines, he had nothing to do with that, although if you have a good move to first base, the guy on first base knows it, and he's not going to take the liberties he would take against other pitchers.
Short lead there by Hubie Brooks, who is not a good base runner. And this one hit down the first, taken by Hernandez, a forced play at second, back to Darling at first, another double play. So the Mets are playing copycat baseball as Montreal had a double play in the second.
And you got the best in the business right there, Keith Hernandez, that right hip open. He flipped to second base, and you got the best in the business right here catching the ball. Ron Darling, fine athlete. Nice flip by Rafael Santana to lead Darling to first base.
And that brings up Andres Galarraga. Galarraga playing at first base, hitting at .271 with 7 home runs, 23 RBIs. And the first pitch, ball 1. Galarraga hit 2 home runs last year, and they claim, the Montreal Public Relations Department claims that they were totaled to 900 feet.
Wow.
One in St. Louis and one at Wrigley Field.
You believe it?
He's strong. And he has a reputation coming out of the minor leagues of being a powerful hitter. So far this year, 7 home runs, and he goes after an off-speed pitch, and it's 1 and 2.
It's interesting. At one time, you get a Latin American player, kind of a spray hitter, hit for doubles and triples. Now you get some guys from Latin America that can really drive the ball. Kid out in Oakland doing a fine job, Jose Canseco.
And it's strike 3. So Darling gets his first strikeout. Galarraga didn't like the call. And the score at the end of 2 here in the Big O in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. The Mets nothing and the Expos nothing.
Fabulous.
Well, the Expos not drawing very well this year here in Montreal. Not a bad crowd on hand for the type of weather we've had up here. Villardello flashing signs. Low target as Wally Backman hits a fly ball left field. Could be extra base hits. It will be. Tim Raines misplayed that ball. Ball kept carrying though. And Wally Backman hustles into second base with a stand-up double.
You had it right the first time. He misplayed it. He broke in, and then he broke back. He came in and then back. You saw Darryl Strawberry misplay a ball. Hit earlier in the ball game. So both hits in this ball game, one by Herm Winningham and now a double by Wally Backman, were both misplayed.
You know, Tim, in the first inning, Mitch Webster hit a ball that the ball really carried, and Mookie Wilson chased it down.
Yeah, well, you can understand it with the Mets playing here for the first time this year, but you can't understand it with Tim Raines, who's played here all year.
That's right.
Unless it's very difficult to see. Maybe it's too big a crowd. Tim Raines, not used to this many people. Probably 18,000 people here tonight.
At the batter now, Keith Hernandez, who walked his first time up, and he takes a ball from Jay Tibbs.
You heard Steve Carlton's line about this stadium, didn't you?
About the, I think
Chris Wheeler, a broadcaster with the Philadelphia Phillies, asked him what the stadium reminded him of, and he said a wine cellar.
It was very cold up here that day also. Oh, boy, that must have been depressing. 1-0 on Keith Hernandez. Misses inside. 2-0. 1 hit for each ball club in this game. Nobody out. We're in the top of the 4th. Wally Backman on second base. The Mets in pursuit of their 44th victory of the season.
They didn't win their 40th game last year until July 3rd. It was after the All-Star break when they won victory number 44. They have been remarkable.
They really have. Everybody doing the job. As Keith takes ball 3, 3-0.
You try to explain the job that this club has done through their first 59 games, and I guess superlatives become superfluous.
I like that. Superfluous.
Superlatives, too.
I like superfluous.
I said that for our director, Bill Webb. We've been working. Bill Webb's now the member of the Word a Day Club. We've been working on that.
Ground ball foul. 3-1.
Keith had the green light on the 3-0, and certainly a good time to give it to an experienced hitter like Hernandez. He hit it well, but it was foul.
So Keith now at a 3-1 count.
On a 3-0 count, you as a hitter draw that little imaginary box out in front of home plate, and if that ball's in the box, you take a whaling at it. Speaking of whaling,
yes,
I just got a letter from SeaWorld. I'll tell you about this letter. Well, it's really a bizarre letter. It was good. I mean, you know, but
do you have any pictures with it?
No, from SeaWorld. SeaWorld.
Oh, okay.
The public relations director's a real Mets fan, and I'll tell you about him.
All
Somehow, after a ball game out in San Diego, I guess I met this fella at the Hotel library.
I can't remember.
No, I mean, we started talking about whales. I'll tell you about Shamu in a minute.
The 3-1 pitch and a ground ball is short. Hubie Brooks bounces at the first, and luckily for Hubie, it was on the artificial surface. Took a true hop because he bounced it way out in front of the first baseman, Andres Galarraga.
Well, it was true in that it bounced to Galarraga, but it wasn't a real in-between hop, but almost an in-between hop. And as Ralph said, that's why they call him Gran Cato down in Caracas. This guy can pick it. See how he comes up? Whenever you see a guy come up like that, it is one of those semi-in-between hops. But that Galarraga, I'll tell you, he's only made one error this year, and he has a great pair of hands.
Yes, he does.
Like as pertinent, Hernandez fails to move Backman to third, where Wally could score on something other than a hit.
And Darryl Strawberry is the batter. Strawberry in his ball game struck out his first time up. One man down, and he takes down low, ball one.
Shamu is the whale kept at SeaWorld out there, and he's 20 feet long, and he's a killer whale. And we started talking for some reason about whale tongues. I said I never really realized that whales, I guess I knew they had a tongue, but I couldn't believe this letter I got.
How big was his tongue?
Well, you can't believe it.
All right.
Shamu's tongue is only 3 feet long. However, a 100-foot-long whale, his tongue can get up to 13 feet long, and a 60-foot-long whale, called a bowhead whale, his tongue can be 18 feet long.
Wow.
Almost 1/3 the length of his body. What do you think about that?
Well, I'll tell you, stage delicatessen like to get a hold of that tongue.
Yeah. Make sandwiches for 2 months. Ooh. Couldn't believe that, though. That's our biology lesson of the night, I guess.
Now, you met this guy in San Diego.
Yeah. He is a public relations director out at SeaWorld and a big Mets fan. And I mean a big Mets fan. Wrote a very, very nice letter. He said whales can't stick out their tongues, so if they're kidding each other, you'd never know it. This is a great letter.
How would you know?
Anyway.
How would you know how long the tongue is as Darryl Strawberry takes a strike 3-1?
Well, obviously they do, a biopsy of a whale that's dead, and they find. You do it on dead whales. Nobody's foolish enough to crawl in there and check it out when they're alive.
Didn't one guy do it? It was in the Bible.
Yeah.
What was his name?
I forgot. Jonah.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
3-1. Ball 4.
Well, anyway.
So 2 men on now with 1 out, and the batter will be Gary Carter. Gary Carter will bat with runners on first and second, and a round of boos for Gary Carter.
Well, that's to be expected, I guess. He was tremendously popular up here and had some problems in the clubhouse with the players. They had some disparaging remarks. That's an understatement to say about Gary.
Yeah, after he left.
Well, they had it to say when he was here, too.
Did he punch anybody?
No.
0-1 on Gary Carter. Gary having a brilliant career. 10 years here in Montreal. Thrilled the fans.
I think a lot of reasons that people get mad at Gary, he's always happy. People can't handle that.
That's the truth, as he takes down low, 1-1.
People don't know how to handle that. That's why a lot of people you meet in the progress of a day, a lot of them have those disparaging remarks. A lot of it about the weather.
That's right.
Tough day today, working hard and all that sort of stuff. But Gary, you never hear that out of him. He's always happy.
Always up.
Yeah, I've never seen the guy with anything but an ebullient attitude.
Well, he has a 1-1 count right now, and he takes down low 2-1. Another guy that comes to mind, Steve Garvey, seems to always be happy.
He's a little different, though. I've seen him with some dour expressions on his face. I've never seen a dour expression on Carter's face. Always a smile, a bright smile. And you can't do that all the time unless you're sincere.
That's right.
You can't do it. I mean, you just can't do it. I mean, he's that type of guy.
Well, I think he's great for baseball. You have a son. Here's the guy to emulate, Gary Carter.
That's a good pitch there.
2-2, yeah. Tibbs is throwing a few fastballs right over the heart of the plate. There's some muscle. As you mentioned, he's tough to pick up.
This appeared to be on the corner.
Yes, it
However,
was.
yeah, that was right there. And Tibbs did a good job of pitching around Darryl Strawberry because he had the two left-handers in a row, Hernandez and Strawberry. And after he got Hernandez, then he worked Strawberry well. And now he's trying to get a ground ball out of Carter at somebody.
I think even with the rain delay, here's the guy, Gary Carter, that would be keyed up. We're going to look at Bill Ardello flashing those signs.
And what Bill Ardello is doing is shaking his head. When a catcher does that, he wants the pitcher to shake his head, and more often than not, it'll be the same pitch that he just threw. Let's see if he's shaking his head.
Usually they do that when the pitcher and catcher are thinking along the same lines during the ball game. Very few times do the pitcher shake his head as they go.
Fastball in.
Yeah.
Got to be a fastball.
Whoop, he tricked us. He went away.
Why'd he give it inside? He just missed with that pitch. And that's probably why Tibbs shook him off. He probably shook off location. And that's what'll happen. If you're a young catcher, you go out and make sure that the pitcher wants. If you can't get together with him, it's best to make sure. Because if you want it inside, he wants it outside, it'll be down the middle of the plate.
Yes, it will. He's not shaking his head right now. They're together on the signs. Interesting. Bill Ardello sets up as late as anybody. Gary Carter fouls the ball off. Runners were in motion. I think Bill Ardello is overly concerned with the batter looking back, although he sets up in time to give the pitcher a target.
Very tentative putting signs down back there. If you think long, you think wrong. By your very conviction, a lot of times you put signs down back there. I mean, nobody knows whether it's the right pitch or not until after it happens. Nobody knows. But you're trained to know about what the pitcher has. And they're working too slowly right now. You start slowing things down, and things bad are going to happen to you.
And there's Bill Ardello flashing those signs. And Jay Tibbs just shook off 2-3.
He ought to call timeout and go out and talk. They are not together in this, kind of a game situation. No score in the fourth inning. 2 runners on, a dangerous hitter.
And a guy, a hitter who's keyed up anytime he comes here to Montreal. Gary Carter. Bill Ardello flashing those signs. See where he goes with that glove. And the ball's down low. Runners again in motion. And the bases are jammed for George Foster.
I was never one to go out and talk to the pitcher a lot, but I'll tell you, this is the time to do that because Bill Ardello and Tibbs can't get together, and Larry Bernard, that's exactly why he's going out there right now, and that's a good move. Saying, look, you guys, you're trying to make things too complicated here. What's going on? Check it out. Now he looked at Bill Ardello. Pitching coaches always like to look at catchers. Things go wrong.
That's right.
They always come out looking at the catcher first, then they look at the pitcher.
Then you say, what do you think?
How's he throwing? That's my favorite.
And you got to be honest with him.
Yeah, he's really got a rotten fastball tonight. I mean,
the pitcher punches you in the forehead.
Spend all his time trying to build up confidence between the pitcher and the pitching coach, tears everything down with one question.
So the rain is starting to come down, and the fans are heading back for cover. Bases loaded. George Foster, the batter, and George takes strike 1. We had a 1 hour, 20-minute rain delay prior to the first pitch. Started it. We're going to get it in. Inside on George Foster. Tell you, the only thing that can really stop the Mets would be the rain. The Mets playing outstanding baseball. 43-16 coming into tonight's action. The Expos at 32-26. And Foster, it's a fly ball right field. Mitch Webster is going to make the catch and the throw. Backman tag. The throw home. It's a good one. And an outstanding block by Grandpa Ardello. A That's a big lead play right there. Mitch Webster making a perfect throw to cut down Wally Backman and a double play.
This has always been the toughest for a catcher because you do have a blind spot. You can't see the runner coming in. You put your weight on your left foot and ward off the runner. Fortunately for Biladello, it's Wally Backman, who's 5'8" and weighs 175 pounds. It's a strong throw from Webster. He wasn't that deep, however, but a good play by Biladello and a good throw.
And for the Mets in the fourth inning, no runs, one hit, no errors, 2 men left on base. At the end of 3.5 on the scoreboard, 0-0 Mets and Expos.
Can enjoy more of 86 Mets Curtain Call exclusively on SportsChannel.
Well, rain has dominated the turf tonight, and pitching has dominated the teams as Ralph Kiner joins us again.
Fine pitching and a tough night to play baseball. That wind swirling all over the place, rainy. Temperature has changed. What does Ron Fairley say about playing up here? He went 0 for 12 one summer.
Oh, yeah. 0 for 8 is a regular.
Means 2 days, huh?
Well, it was so muggy and humid, you knew something had to give, but you didn't expect the temperatures to plummet. I'd say it's around 45 to 50 degrees and a much worse chill factor. That wind came out of nowhere, the old northern. Here's George Foster to lead off the 7th. No score, top of the 7th. Fastball is in tight.
Foster was up when the Mets had their one scoring opportunity, and he flied to shallow right. Backman tried to score from third after the ball was caught and was thrown out at the plate by the right fielder.
1-1 to George Foster. Two and 1. Tibbs has walked 5. He has struck out 4. Both pitchers have been wild, but they have done a good job with men on base. Mets have stranded 5, and the Expos have stranded 5. Swing and a miss and a ball over his head, 2-2.
Well, George seeing that fastball come up there, and he goes after it. That pitch looks so good and is so tough to hit.
Ball right in the eyes. It looks a lot bigger than it really is. Can't get on top of it. 2-2 to Foster. Tried to go there again. Now it's 3-2 to George.
To hit that pitch, you have to be a Tommy Hawk hitter like Yogi Berra was, or Ducky Medwick was one of the great ones.
Going to be another fastball inside. And it's ball 4. Walk number 6 given up by Tibbs. And Foster, the leadoff runner here in the 7th inning, and the batter Ray Knight. Len Dykstra now will go in to run for George Foster.
Well, the weather as it is, you sort of have to play this game like an extra inning game right now. Never know whether it's going to rain again, and if it is rain called off, you'd like to be in front.
Don't know what it might do if the moisture comes down from the sky. It might snow, the way things are going. Knight 0 for 2. He grounded into a double play back in the 2nd, and grounded to first in the 5th. Ray has batted safely in 12 of 14 and in 35 of his last 41 ball games. No score, top of the 7th. The Mets trying to go 44-16. pitch out, and it was almost a strike. That ball tailed back, and Billardello.
Right here, he almost has to reach back in the strike zone. Look at the movement on that ball back in, and that ball can be hit. If the batter goes after it and hits the catcher's glove, then it's catcher's interference, and the runner gets second, and the batter gets first.
Dykstra with 16 stolen bases on the year.
16 out of 17.
And Tibbs knows it. Knight, a good hit and run man. The outfield is shading him around toward right field. Rain's about straight away and left. There you see Winningham into right center. There goes Dykstra, and a ground ball is foul. So Lynn returns to first base. It's 1-1 on Ray Knight.
The Expo catchers have been very poor at throwing runners out this year. They've thrown out only 20% of the attempted base runners trying to steal second. 18 out of 92.
Billardello looking into the dugout to Buck Rogers, a former catcher. Matter of fact, back in 1961, Buck Rogers caught in 155 games. That's a major league record for a rookie catcher.
And close to the all-time record, Randy Hundley caught in 160 games for the Cubs. Oh, that's a lot, Tim.
Sure is.
That's a lot of up and down.
Good play by Billardello, blocking that cut fastball. It's 2-1 to Ray Knight. So you have the same situation as you had with the count 1-0. So don't be surprised to see Dykstra running.
And there's a good play, as that fastball in the dirt is much tougher to handle than the curveball.
The Mets with 2 hits, the Expos with 4. Rain delays have totaled about 2 hours tonight. Game started at 9 o'clock New York time, with about a 30-minute rain delay in between.
Officially 1 hour and 58 minutes of rain delay.
Good play by Galarraga to dig that ball out of the dirt.
Boy, he is good over there with that glove. Got those good hands. Of course, he's handicapped to some degree by being a right-handed thrower. Didn't bother Babe Dahlgren or Gil Hodges, recognized as 2 of the best right-handed throwing first basemen.
And another good play by Billardello.
And right here on the replay, this one really spinning back after it hits the ground, bouncing to the right side as you look at it from that camera angle, and the catcher being able to block it with a chest protector.
So it's 3-1 to Ray Knight, with Dykstra at first, nobody out. We'll see if Lynn runs. There he goes. Nope, he doesn't. Wallach will have to go to first base. So after all is said and done, basically the Mets have a pretty good situation moving Dykstra to second base.
Well, Dykstra gives that bluff it going, and Ray Knight swinging at it as though the hit and run were on. That pitch was ball 4, but it appeared that the hit and run play was on, and Dykstra did not go, but he got down to second anyway.
Rafael Santana, the batter. Ron Darling on deck. A scoreless ball game. Dykstra will steal third. We'll see if Law holds him close at second base. Ball 1. Tibbs has struck out 4. He's walked 6. Activity for the Mets in their bullpen. Doug Sisk up and throwing. Ground ball sharply to Brooks. He looks Dykstra back and throws out Santana. 2 out.
And with 2 men out, it appears that Darling is going to bat. No score in the ball game. We're in the top of the 7th inning. And Darling taking some practice swings, so he will bat. Darling has yet to drive in a run this year, and he's had just 2 hits.
He has struck out tonight and grounded back to Tibbs. Bob McClure and Tim Burke warming up. McClure, the left-hander, in the foreground.
And Tim, that outfield very shallow against Ron Darling.
He almost had himself a double back his last time at bat. And this ball cannot be handled by Villardello, and it bounces in the dugout. And Dykstra can only go to third base. So that was a wild pitch with capital letters on that one.
Talk about a 55-foot pitch. This ball hits way in front of home plate. No chance at all for Villardello. And Dykstra goes to third. And the grounds rule is 1 base off the mound if the ball goes in the dugout. So Dykstra goes to third base, and you could be alive now for another wild pitch.
Well, that's probably why Buck Rogers is out there to talk to Tibbs, saying you are pitching to the pitcher. You still have good stuff. It's also a situation where Santana, even though he made the out to shortstop, had he been able to move Dykstra along by making the second out, Dykstra could have scored, but you can't be assured of whether Tibbs would have thrown the wild pitch with a runner at third. It's 1-0 to Darling. 2 outs, no score. We're in the 7th. Fastball for a strike, 1-1. Dykstra with that fake break off a third. Tibbs in the stretch.
Trying to get a balk off of Jay Tibbs with that break at third base.
And a bunt attempt, and Villardello fields the ball. Safe at first. The ball may have hit Darling. Engel calls him safe immediately. Wallach's going to argue, but Ron Darling, on what will probably be scored an error, drives in the first run of the ball game. 1-0 New York.
And the argument starts as Buck Rogers comes out, I should say, comes out to argue with home plate umpire Bob Engel. And evidently he's convinced that everything was in order. Now Darling has to run in this lane. Once you get down there 45 feet, you can't be in the infield when there's a play being made. And the throw to first base, Darling appeared to be right on the line. And an error is going to be charged to the first baseman.
The ball did not appear to hit Darling. So it is an error on first baseman Andres Galarraga, only his 2nd of the year. The Mets lead 1-0, and here's Wilson. Fastball is low, 1-0 to Mookie, who is 0 for 3 on the night.
And Darling will get a sacrifice and no time at bat on that play.
With 2 out?
Yeah, he bunted just like a squeeze play.
With 2 out?
Surely.
I would
advance the runner, yeah.
He advanced the runner.
Right, I would sacrifice.
Well, I would have to say it'd be a fielder's choice with 2 out. Now, with nobody out or with 1 out, we'll have to see how they score it. 1-1 to Mookie Wilson. There goes Darling. He might get credit. He would have gotten credit for a hit had he beat the play, but with the error on Galarraga, there is certainly no RBI on that. It's 1-2 to Mookie Wilson. He has struck out twice and flied to center.
And Darling, of course, running with that pitch, not being held on, trying to take advantage of the fact that the first baseman's playing in back of him.
Mookie fouls another one back. So it's still 1-2, 2 out. Breaking ball hit sharply up the middle, base hit. Darling will stop at second. And Mookie Wilson has his first hit of the evening. And the batter will be Wally Backman.
Well, Mookie had struck out on fastballs, and finally Tibbs goes to the curveball against him, and Mookie gets this one and drives it up the middle.
Prior to this inning, Wally Backman with his 2 doubles, the only hits the Mets had. Wilson with the 3rd hit. As George Foster opened the inning with a walk, he was pinch run for by Lynn Dykstra, who went to second on a ground out by Ray Knight. He went to third on the wild pitch, and Ron Darling with the bunt. And Villardello's throw was dropped by Galarraga at first. It's 0-1 to Backman.
And the move that Davey made to put in Dykstra to run got the run for the Mets, because Foster, if he had been running, would not have been able to get to second base. Play would have gone to second for the force play. As it was, it went 5-3 over to first. Then the fastball for a strike. 0-2 to Backman. 1-0. New York on top. There's a pitch to Wally Backman, and the movement on that fastball moving back over the inside corner. It appeared to be high enough. Good play by Villardello. 1-2 to Wally. Wally with 9 doubles now in the year with the 2 he has tonight. And the one time they got him out, he almost decapitated the third baseman. Hit a shot down the left field line, and Wallach made a great play on it. Wallach, who was playing him close, about 50 feet from home plate, or about 80 feet from home plate, I should say. Backman fouls another one off. So still 1-2, 2 out, 2 on, top of the 7th, 1-0 New York. Should they win, they will be 11.5 games in front of the Expos. Well, they won't win today, because this game is going into tomorrow. Fastball low, 2-2. Backman is arguing now. It appeared that Engel said he went. Well, Roger McDowell in the ball game. Ron Darling a strong 7, and Roger McDowell hopes to pick up a save. Ralph? And Roger with a record of 6-0. He has 5 saves, and their run average at 2.19, his 30th appearance of the year. He has worked 53 in the 3rd innings, given up 40 hits, no home runs. He has walked 17 and struck out 36. So McDowell in the game in relief of Darling, who went 7 innings, gave up no runs, allowed 4 hits, struck out 8, and walked 6. So Roger McDowell, and really a good move, because Ron Darling had thrown so many pitches, the half-hour rain delay, and Davey Johnson awarding, or rewarding, I guess you should say, Ron Darling with a superb effort on the evening. He pitched out of 2 tough jams in the 7th. In the 6th and 7th. Now it's up to the bullpen to save it for Ron Darling. Mitch Webster 1 for 3. Just got word that Charlie Huff has a no-hitter going through 6 innings. How about that? A bunt attempt foul by Webster, and it's 0-1. The knuckleballer with a 1-0 lead over the California Angels, and he has allowed no hits and no runs through 6. I don't know if you caught that story in the Times today about the 4 pitchers that were sent to the minor leagues, 4 older pitchers in the Texas Ranger organization,
tell you about it in a second. And another bunt attempt right back to McDowell. So I guess Webster compensated. He punted one foul and one back to McDowell.
He made the adjustment, but he made it too big. Instead of getting it by the pitcher, he bunts it right back to him. And one away here in the bottom of the 8th inning.
And Buck Rogers is out to talk to Roger McDowell, actually to talk to Bob Engel, to check Roger McDowell. What are you going to check him for? Oh, no, we're going to check for moisture. Oh, the torn sleeve, okay. So McDowell will have to, I mean, come on. Anything to mess up a pitcher's concentration, right?
There was a pitcher by the name of Allen that used to pitch Johnny Allen. There you see Davy Johnson, who pitched for the Cleveland Indians. And one year he went into the last game of the season with a record of 15-0. And no pitcher had ever pitched a season 16-0 or even 15-0, as a matter of fact. And they made him take off a undershirt like that he had stripped so that the sleeves were flying all around, sort of cut down and all the way around. They had to change that, and in those days, of course, they didn't make any money. This goes back to about in the early, I guess it was the late 30s, and he made $1,000 because they put that sweatshirt on display in a department store. It became very famous. Johnny Allen, he ended up the season losing the last day to Detroit, and he had a record that year of 15-1.
I was mentioning about that experiment of the Texas Rangers. Tom Greavy, the general manager, and Bobby Valentine has talked 4 older pitchers in their minor league system who were not really going anywhere. They were kind of career minor leaguers, and I guess they're rare today also. They talked them into becoming knuckleball pitchers, all 4 of them. One of the pitchers' names is Shimp. S-H-I-M-P, hold the R. And they say that, or from what this article said, that he has the best opportunity to be a major league knuckleball pitcher. He's 29 years old. He's pitched futilely in the Texas Ranger organization for 8 years. Makes it up to AAA ball, and they guaranteed all 4 pitchers that they would not be released before the end of the 1987 season. So therefore, their records, don't worry about the records, and we just go down and learn how to pitch a knuckleball. Just learn how to throw the knuckleball.
If I were a catcher, I would protest immediately.
Right, they'll probably have 4 pitchers that make the Rangers and about 60 catchers released from that organization.
Of course, that knuckleball is so hard to catch. Rick Farrell, who's in the Hall of Fame, caught 4 knuckleball starters for the Washington Senators. Let's see if I can remember the names of them. One was Dutch Leonard, the other was Mickey Hefner. Roger Wolf was the 3rd, and Negline was the 4th. And he made the Hall of Fame, I think, mainly on the fact that he had to catch 4 knuckleball starters for Washington.
That ought to put anybody in the Hall of Fame. Whether he hits a lick or throws anybody out or anything. Just the very fact that he caught the knuckleballer. Well, we'll try to review the 1 run that's been scored in the top of the 7th inning. The Mets led off with a walk to George Foster. Dykstra pinch ran for Foster, and on an infield out with Dykstra running, he went to second base. Rafael Santana grounded out to short, and with 2 out and Dykstra at second, he was wild pitched to third and scored on a bunt attempt by Ron Darling and an error on Andres Galarraga. And that's where we are, 1-0, 1 out, bottom of the 8th, and 1-0 to Tim Raines. Ball 2 to Tim. Timmy 1 for 2 with a walk and a stolen base.
Back in the 6th inning, Raines hit one so hard to right for a single that the runner could not score from second, and that was a big break for the Mets.
That runner was a pretty fast runner, too, Mitch Webster. So maybe Buck Rogers knew what he was doing. A new sweatshirt, and Roger McDowell's thrown 3 balls.
Raines, of course, a man you don't want on base because he's such a great base stealer.
There's a strike, 3-1. Yeah, you want to make him hit his way on, especially in lieu of the fact that McDowell hasn't given up a home run all year.
Well, this ball really breaks back on the plate. Raines doing a little acting there, trying to get that ball four. Now he gets it.
Raines was thrown out by a catcher for the first time this year back in the first inning, even though he did have to slide by the bag to get for the Mets to get the call.
Had the base stolen, slid off the bag, and got tagged. That goes as a caught stealing.
Hubie Brooks has walked twice. He has struck out. And that strikeout, a big one, as Ralph said. That was with runners at second and third and one out in the sixth.
McDowell has a pretty good move to first base.
And there it was. Raines with a good move to second. Got a couple of movers out there now trying to outfox each other. It's 1-0. New York leads, bottom of the eighth inning. Each team with 4 hits. The Expos with a costly error, the only one of the ball game. There's a strike, 0-1.
Raines did get a stolen base back in the 6th inning, so he's 1 for 1 tonight. 29 out of 31 stolen bases.
He has now been caught only 30 times in 492 attempts. Make that 493 in his career. And the thing to note here is Roger McDowell has been called for a balk this year for not stopping. Got to stop 1001 when you bring your hands to that set position. That's the rule. Few pitchers do it, and it's called occasionally.
Raines has 420 stolen bases in his major league career.
And 2. The majority of the time when Raines is caught, he is picked off and not thrown out. Ground ball hit foul. And McDowell is not coming to a stop. I can imagine that Expo dugout now. Make him stop. How many times do you hear that in your career, Ralph? Billion?
Oh, yeah. That's all you hear. There they are. Complaining to the umpire at first base. Make him stop.
You can get away with it if you're halfway honest in that move. Buck Rogers, no catcher. There goes the runner. Fastball is fouled away. So Raines with that explosive move towards second.
Raines, when he got his 400th stolen base, that was back on May 10th when he got his 9th stolen base of the year, became the 3rd youngest to have 400 stolen bases.
They're talking about McDowell's move. Not his move to first, but his move home. Raines not running, and Brooks taps it foul again. So it's still 0-2, 1 out. I might have to try a little pitch out right here, Ralph.
Good count for it. No balls, 2 strikes. Raines ran on a 2-strike count. Had 70 stolen bases last year.
Had 71 back in 1981 in the strike-shortened season. He missed 2 months of the season. Timmy from Sanford, Florida. Nickname is The Rock. And there he goes. Fastball, grounded base hit to right field. So the Expos have runners at first and third and 1 out. And I'll tell you, Ralph, with the count 0-2, Roger McDowell is wild in the strike zone. And with that sinker of his, there's really no need for it.
And Hubie getting the bat and the ball off the fastball finds the hole. And with Raines running no play at all for Strawberry. So Hubie puts the time run at third with 1 out on his base hit, his first tonight.
So since McDowell had to change that sweatshirt, he has walked Raines. Brooks got the base hit to right field with Raines running. And now the Mets in double play depth. Tim Wallach, the batter, a good low ball hitter. Here's a nice matchup right here. Low ball pitcher, low ball hitter. And it's low, 1-0.
When you face a situation of a low ball pitcher and a low ball hitter, you pitch a little lower.
You certainly don't resort to high sinkers,
No.
I'll tell you that. Swing and a miss at the sinker, 1-1. Throw to first, Hubie Brooks back.
Hubie doesn't figure to be going anywhere. With that short lead, he'd have to be shot out of a cannon to get down to second.
Backman cheating towards second for the double play. The 1-1 pitch out. If Hubie's not going anywhere, why in the world would the pitch out be? You're not going to squeeze with Wallach.
I don't know, but that's all it could have been.
It had to be that, I guess. But I mean, you're not going to squeeze with Tim Wallach.
I wouldn't think so.
And you're not going to run with Brooks. So why in the world you pitch out? It's 2-1.
It doesn't make sense. There
he
we
runs,
go.
base hit, right field. So sometimes you talk teams into doing it. And that's what the Mets may have done with that pitch out.
Well, they employ the hit and run play right there, and it worked perfectly as Wallach hit it right through the hole to right field. You'll be running with a pitch on the hit and run, and Strawberry with no chance at all as Raines scores the time run, and now the go-ahead runs at third with 1 man out. The batter is Andres Galarraga.
How about that? Well, there for about 5 weeks. You know, Gary and the other Met catchers wouldn't pitch out. And they tried it then and on the 1-1 pitch, but the Expos did hit and run on the count with the count 2-1. And Galarraga takes a strike. Infield still in double play depth. Fastball is low, 1-1.
Mets trying to set up the double play here. They have everybody back with the exception of Hernandez holding against the runner. And they're gambling on a ground ball that can be turned into a double play with the go-ahead run at third.
And he went too far, so it's 1-2 to Andres Galarraga. The Mets scored 1 in the top of the 7th. The Expos have come back with 1 here in the bottom of the 8th, and Jeff Reardon, the Terminator, is up in the bullpen. Ground ball towards short. Santana will have to hurry, and Backman turns it. What a turn by Wally Backman. A 6-4-3 double play, and they just got Galarraga at first. The Expos tied. They strand a runner, and it's a 1-1 ball game in the top of the 9th.
7-0. No Met pitcher able to do that.
4 Met pitchers prior to McDowell have gone 6-0. 1 this year. Ron Darling, who started this game. 2-2 to Ray Knight. Fouls another one back. Burke appears to be throwing harder than usual tonight, Ralph.
He has become quite a relief pitcher. Burke last year set a club record when he went 8-0 from the start of the season, breaking a record held by Rudy May. Last year he blossomed out as one of the top relievers, and he and Reardon formed quite a combination.
Fastball high, 3-2. I'll say they do. As you look at Rafael Santana and then Danny Heap in the background there, grabbing some lumber. Tim Burke has been the setup man for one of Reardon's wins and 11 of his saves. Reardon has 15 saves. Burke quite a filler. Knight fouls it off. Still 3-2 tonight. And Doug Sisk warming for the Mets. Ground ball sharply to Brooks. Strong arm, and he gets him with the stretch by Galarraga. One away. So here's Rafael Santana. Danny Heap on deck to pinch hit for Roger McDowell, regardless of what happens, it appears. Ron Darling started this game. He worked 7 innings, striking out 8, walking 6, giving up 4 hits. And earns a no decision. And strike 1 on Santana. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Hope you've enjoyed this long evening of baseball on Sports Channel. I'm Tim McCarver along with Ralph Kiner, Fran Healy, and Rafael Santana goes down on strike. Second strikeout for Tim Burke.
And he just goes to the fastball right here, throws it right by Rafael. Ball sinking under the bat. And now Heap coming up to bat for Roger McDowell. So Roger exits from the ball game.
McDowell worked the 1 inning. He gave up 1 run, as we said, his first earned run in 15 innings. Gave up a couple of hits. He walked 1, and that was after that Buck Rogers had him take that T-shirt off, or the sweatshirt.
That was his lucky sweatshirt.
Evidently it was. One and one to Danny Heap. Mets need a long ball. If you remember, Danny Heap led the majors in pinch hit home runs in 1983 with 4. Hits this one to left field and playable. Tim Raines over, and he makes the catch. Danny hit it well, but he hit it the other way. So a quick inning for Tim Burke and the Expos. Burke's retired 5 Mets in a row. The Expos with a chance to win it here in the bottom of the 9th. It's a tie game at 1.
It's Mets Curtain Call, exclusively on Sports Channel.
Doug Sisk, the 3rd pitcher of the night for New York.
And Doug with a record of no wins, 1 loss. He has no saves. He has an earned run average of 1.69. This is his 7th game of the year. He's worked 10 2/3 innings, given up 11 hits, no home runs. He has walked 1 and struck out 5. And Doug, the only pitcher on the Mets roster at this present point who has not won a ball game. He's 0-1. The Mets have only 3 pitchers that have losing records. Sisk at 0-1. Rick Aguilera at 1-3, and Randy Neiman at 1-2.
Well, what about Doug Sisk's right shirt sleeve? Do you think Buck Rogers will come out and make some comment about that? I mean, it is torn and tattered, huh?
Certainly is, and technically he can't wear that.
Well, let's see what Buck's going to do. Buck is a member of the elite, internationally acclaimed haute couture Evidently. Checking out clothes tonight. And after he did, a couple of clotheslines hung out. One by Hubie Brooks and one by Tim Wallach to play Tim Raines and tie it in the 8th. Here's Vance Law. He's 0 for 2 on the night. Ball 1, 1-0. Vance's nickname is Vinny, and the reason for that, when he went to the Chicago White Sox camp in 1980 from the Pittsburgh Pirates, they thought his name was Vince instead of Vance. Several guys called him Vinny, and that nickname's stuck. 2-0 to Vance Law.
Some of the nicknames they throw on ball players, worse than that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He'll sell for that one.
Not a few myself, as a matter of fact. There's a strike, 2-1. Well, the check swing, did he go too far? No, says first base umpire Jim Quick. So it's 3-1 to Vance Law.
Well, the walk got McDowell in trouble back in the 8th inning. Walked the batter. Tim Raines, he went on to score. There have been enough walks in this game.
Don't they always score? George Foster walked, and Len Dykstra, the pinch runner, scored. And this one is that's a 54-footer. And Vance Law is on there, and Mike Fitzgerald will probably be up there to bunt.
That's the 14th walk in this game. The Mets have given up 8.
And a pinch runner for Vance Law. It's going to be Al Newman. Newman had 62 stolen bases back in 1982 while playing for the Class A West Palm Beach.
Jason Thompson has come out to the on-deck circle for Montreal. Pitcher due up next.
So Fitzgerald will be up there to bunt. Fitzgerald entered the game back in the 7th inning as a pinch hitter for catcher Dan Billardello, and he walked. Nobody out, a tie game, bottom of the 9th inning, 1-1, and a throw to first. Newman back. Newman has 9 stolen bases. He's been caught 7 times. As Fitzgerald takes a ball inside. So that old bugaboo has jumped up and bitten Doug Sisk. The bases on balls.
He had walked only 1 batter in his 6 previous games.
And has given up no earned runs over that period of time. He can throw strikes. He can get you out. There goes Newman. Fastball is grounded over the head of Ray Knight. That is an artificial turf base hit if I've ever seen one.
In the last 2 innings now, Buck Rogers has employed the hit and run play 3 times, and it has worked 3 times. All base hits. And right here, the runner going on the pitch. Fitzgerald swinging away instead of bunting, bounces it off the artificial turf. That high hop there, and Santana, good job to get back to get it, to hold Newman at second. So now runners at first and second, no one out. The winning run is at second base, and the Mets are in trouble.
Jason Thompson has been recalled to the dugout, and Buck Rogers may be sending up Candy Candel.
Candel, a newcomer to the Montreal Expos was at Indianapolis, where he batted .265 with no home runs and 12 RBIs this year. He too can run. He had 7 stolen bases in 43 games at Indianapolis. Casey Candel. Got the right name for a ball player, huh? Casey at the bat.
Spells his name C-A-N-D-A-E-L-E. Candel. It's pronounced as though it were C-A-N-D-E-L-L.
And he's in a bunting situation.
Knight in at third base. Santana holding Newman close at second. So it does not appear that the rotation plays on. Here comes Hernandez. Hernandez is going to make the play, and they get Newman at third. 1 out.
And Keith Hernandez ended up in the Met dugout after he made that play. This is one of the most spectacular plays you can make as a first baseman. He fielded the ball right near the line, the third baseline. Here he comes. Ball bunted out there, and Keith in full speed makes the throw. And Ray Knight takes the short hop, and the momentum of Keith Hernandez took him all the way to the Met dugout. Here it is on the replay. And Keith with that left-handed throw in the dirt, but a good play by Ray Knight as he comes up with it. And the forced play at third for what could be a very big out.
So what you have right now, you not only have the runner raced at third base, you have Mike Fitzgerald with no speed on at second base. Cannot pinch run for him, because he's the only other catcher the Expos have. So here's Herm Winningham with 1 out, runners at first and second. Ball 1. You wonder when the National League's going to catch up with Keith Hernandez, and with runners on first and second, bunt it down the line at first base. With him charging like that, you can't charge like that and still protect to your left. Ball 2, 2-0.
Bunted right by him.
Bunted hard down the first base line. But the National League has not adjusted yet, have they?
Not to this point.
Spectacular play by Keith Hernandez. Ball 3, 3-0. On deck batter Mitch Webster. And Winningham may be taking 2 pitches, even though the Winning runs at second base. He realizes Doug Sisk's control problems. There's a strike. Strike 2, 3-2, and he was taking all the way.
Taking down the line, that ball moving back over the plate. A good pitch.
Well,
now,
you send the runners.
I was going to say, now do you send the runners?
I don't know, tell you the truth. I don't know what I would do here.
Got to be a manager's hunch whether you send the runners or not. I'd send them.
Buck Rogers doesn't, and Winningham goes down on strikes. After running the count to 3-0, Sisk comes back and strikes out Winningham. 2 out.
And he gets him with a fastball. Ball tailing back again. Winningham with the winning run at second base, looking for the walk, and he doesn't get it as he's called out on strikes. And now 2 men out, and Mitch Webster the batter.
Webster is 1 for 4. He doubled back in the 6th inning. Swing and a miss, 0-1. Outfield shaded around toward left center. And they are shallow. This is as shallow as I've ever seen Lynn Dykstra play. Fastball is tight, 1-1. On deck batter Tim Raines. And the Mets are hoping he leads off the bottom of the 10th. We're in the bottom of the 9th, 2 on, 2 out, 1-1. Ball 2, 2-1.
Other than the fact that you'd have to pitch to Tim Raines, a walk here is not disastrous.
Well, that's
two
true.
men out.
The one bad thing about it, though, Ralph, is Raines has the best eye on this ball
That's
club.
right.
One of the best in baseball, really. Webster fouls it away. It's 2-2.
A walk with one man out puts the winning run at third, and he can score a lot of ways then. There was Raines practicing his stance.
Raines has walked twice tonight. Met pitchers have allowed 8 walks on the evening. 6 by Darling, 1 by McDowell, and 1 by Sisk. Swing and a miss. He got him. We got overtime. And I'll tell you, all it needs to do for Bill Webb, our director, is to rain one more time, and we will have the scene set for another July 5, 1985. Fran joins Ralph in the 10th right after this word. We'll be back.
Set. And 1 run will score, will 2. Now the throw to the plate, and it's in time, and the ball is dropped. The ball is dropped, and the Mets get 2. Bo Darryl Strawberry coming in from second base, and he was out at the plate as you look at it on the video. As we understand, it's back in play.
And Lenny Dykstra, a hard-nosed ball player, putting the ball in play right up the middle. And Darryl Strawberry is just so big and strong, he'll jar the ball loose. You get a smaller guy, and you'll be able to hang on to that ball. But right there, Strawberry with that 6'6" frame he is, hammering into the glove, knocked the ball loose. And here's Winningham making a fine throw. Hernandez scores easily. Well, you got to tip your hat to this kid Dykstra. Nice play by Fitzgerald. He wasn't able to hold the ball, and Strawberry knocked it loose. But Lenny Dykstra, big hit, big 2 RBIs. As Ralph mentioned before, a swing of 2 games.
And I believe they charged an error on that play to Fitzgerald, who really did not have possession of the ball. It was sort of coddled in there.
That's either
coddled
one.
in there.
I'll take either one, but I know what you're talking about.
How about cradled in there? That might be a better word. And now the batter is Ray Knight. Ray is 0 for 4 tonight. Mets have broken through for 3 big runs here in the 10th inning.
You know, Ralph, how many times have you seen a base hit go when an infielder or an outfielder ball is too hard to handle? A short hop to a catcher from center field as the ball is too hard to handle.
Now the pitch back to Knight is swung on and missed. Foul tipped, actually, and the count 1-2.
If Fitzgerald made the tag right there, it would have been an outstanding play by Mike Fitzgerald because he was short hop and he had to tag a guy of Strawberry size coming on him.
And we're very sorry for the loss of video. We understand it's back now, and we apologize for our problem. And the 1-2 pitch to Knight swung on and missed, and Knight is struck out. But the Mets get 3 big runs on 3 hits. There were 2 errors in the inning and 1 man left on base. And the score at the end of 9.5 innings, the Mets 4 and the Expos 1. Well, we're going now to the bottom half of the 10th inning. The Mets leading 4-1, and it'll be Tim Raines to lead off for Montreal. Raines in this ball game has walked twice, scored once, scoring the only run for Montreal in the 8th inning to tie up the ball game, and he's had 1 hit and 2 official times up. On the mound for the Mets, Doug Sisk. And the first pitch to Raines, right in there, a called strike. Sisk battled back from a walk and a base hit. And runners at second and third, and then struck out his next 2 batters to get out of the inning. That was back in the 9th inning. Ground ball hit out to the shortstop, Santana, and his throw to first base just does get Raines.
That's a big out right there. You got to keep that leadoff man off the bases, especially Tim Raines. As Tim McCarver mentioned before, he can beat you in so many ways. And if Raines gets on, it's a psychological lift. Buck Rogers not very happy. Here it is again. Santana making the play and throwing the ball to first base. Buck Rogers felt that Raines would say he's out.
No question about that. But at this point, frustration setting in for Buck Rogers. That wasn't even close.
Well, Ralph, you mentioned the big thing, that swing of 2 games.
If the Mets win it, they will be a total of 11 and a half games ahead of Montreal. And, of course, if they lose it, it would be 9 and a half. And now here's Hubie Brooks. Hubie with a base hit in 2 official at-bats, also has walked twice. And the breaking ball hit high in the air to shallow right center field. Strawberry coming up to make the play, and he does. So now Montreal down to their last out, with the Mets leading by a score of 4-1, and the batter will be Tim Wallach. Wallach drove in the only run for Montreal back in the 8th inning when they tied it. Mets getting 2 big defensive plays in this ball game, with runners at first and third, and the ball game tied at 1-1, and there's a fastball for a ball. The Mets played for a double play and got it, and that was back in the 8th inning. Galarraga hit into the double play, and it was close at first. And the count 2 balls, no strikes. Another big play for the Mets when Keith Hernandez picked up a force play and a bunt attempt at third base.
What a play that was.
Outstanding play by Keith that set it up for the Mets to stay in the ball game. And there's a strike call, and the count 2-1.
I tell you, in a situation like that, I wouldn't allow Keith to make that, to catch that ball if at all possible, bunt it to somebody else, because he makes that play so well.
And another one out of the strike zone. With a runner on first and second, with runners on first and second, the bunt by the batter was fielded by Keith over on the foul line, the third base foul line. This ball pulled foul, and he got the force play at third base against Al Newman, a very fast runner who had been put in the ball game to run. And if he had not picked up that out, ball game could have been over in the 9th.
Keith runs full tilt from his first base position to field a bunt. I've never seen another first baseman be able to do that and make that play.
3-2, and he hits it. So with 1 out left, Wallach gets hit by a pitch ball. It would have been ball 4 anyway. So that's a hard way to get first base when you could have been walked. And that keeps it going, at least momentarily.
Here it is again, Doug Sisk running that ball in on Tim Wallach. Doug's the type of pitcher, when you catch him, you try to set up right behind in the center of the plate as Davey looks around the camera. Not happy with the pitch, but Doug Sisk the type of guy, his ball moves so much you want to sit in the middle of the plate. Just get on the corners, that ball run off the plate.
And then the first pitch to Andres Galarraga, and he swings at the fastball. It was Galarraga who hit into that double play in the 8th inning with a runner at third. Pitch back, and it's grounded to the shortstop, and that'll do it. Rafael Santana throws off to Backman, and the force play ends the game, and the Mets win it by a score of 4-1. And we will apologize one more time for the loss of video, and we hope that it was not too much of an inconvenience. But the result of the ball game seen right here is the Mets win it by a score of 4-1. Moving back with a recap.